Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you all very much for joining us here tonight. It's really great to have you all on here tuned in just before Christmas, just before this year wraps up. And wow, what a year it has been. Tonight, we want to do something a little bit special today. We want to really take a moment to pause together and reflect. So we want to summarize the end of the year, but really to look at everything we've been through, every battle we've been through, every victory we've been through together, and what lies ahead. And I'm not doing this alone tonight. I'm really delighted to be co-hosting tonight with my great colleague here who's joining with me all the way from Argentina, Rocio D'Angelo. Rocio, it's so great to have you here. How are you doing as we head into this holiday season?
Hi, Sebas. Hi, everyone there. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the introduction. I'm really happy to be here with you tonight. As Sebas said, from Argentina. For me, this is a very festive season. I'm really happy because Christmas is coming. I'm really happy because this past weekend was my birthday. So it seems like a celebration and a family catch up. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Rocio, for coming on. And of course, tonight we have the real treat because we're also joined by CitizenGO's founder and CEO, Ignacio Arzuaga, who's connecting with us all the way from Spain. Ignacio is the driving force really behind so much of the impact, so much of the pressure we've achieved and enjoyed over these years. And it's really fantastic to have him on with us tonight and to have him give us his insights. Thank you so much, Ignacio, for joining us tonight. Great to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me, Sebastian and Rocio. Really looking forward to a good conversation. I recall what we have achieved this year, 2025, and what plans do we have for next year, 2026. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. So we're here to have a real conversation. So I want to invite everyone listening to bring your thoughts, bring your ideas, bring your questions above all. Send the questions through. We're going to try and address as many as possible. So please feel free, send your questions over in the chat. We'll get them. We'll try and get them addressed as much as we can. So get your thoughts in there, and we'll be looking back, as we said, at the highlights, at the victories, and the wilder moments that this year has brought us individually and as a group as well. So as we gear up for what's ahead, then before we jump into really the highlights and the challenges of the year, I really want to turn to Ignacio just from the very start, get you right in there, because Ignacio, like when we look back at CitizenGO as an organization, as a project, as a movement, as a global movement, active now in around 50 different countries, having serious political weight and impact around the world, it's got a huge footprint, and we've enjoyed real impact over the years. And you've, of course, been here from the very beginning as the founder, as the driving force, and as the brains behind all of this. So really, I'd like to open up and I'd love for you to share with everyone a little bit of that early story. Like, what was the original vision that you had in those days? Maybe what was the moment that you realized CitizenGO, this is the moment, this could become the global movement that it is today? And above all, how did you see it as a tool for good, which it continues to be today, in front of a very hostile political environment?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm the driving force. Actually, it's a great team, that work together and with a very clear vision is making an impact. And most importantly, all the people that follow us, that receive our emails, sign the petitions, donate, participate in rallies. So, we are a grassroots movement. So that's what makes us impactful, in our countries. So yeah, I mean, I studied in the US in 1998, 1999, and I knew I learned, firsthand from these movements, some on the right, like the Christian Coalition, or on the left, Move On, that were using internet, email, online petitions to mobilize people. So I, came back to Spain and started to work at a law firm. But in the weekends, in the nights, I was trying to figure out how could I starting with Spain, mobilizing the people. And I created Hazte Oír, which is the Spanish, let's say, CitizenGO in 2001. much younger than now, a long time ago. And, thank God it started to grow very quickly. And it was in 2013 when I decided to try to apply this model we were, doing, that we were applying in Spain to other countries. So we started CitizenGO in 2013. So that's like, how many years? 12 years ago. So, we started with 7 countries, 7 languages, started to grow. And again, now we are, I think it's 12 languages, 25 countries with people on the ground, maybe impacting 50 countries around the world. And yes, it's been a ride. It's been beautiful to see how people join by just signing a petition that maybe their father or their friend, shared with them, and then start getting involved in our campaigns. And it's great to see that many politicians all over the world listen to us, respect us, want to make sure that we are happy with what they're doing. I think that's our role, essentially. Try essentially to mobilize the people and confront politicians so that they do what they're supposed to do, which is defend life, family, and freedom.
Perfect. May I jump in here? Sorry, because Ignacio, you just mentioned the confrontational style at the very end. Well, we as campaigners with Sebas, we are all the time like telling our people, sending them emails, explaining how we confront decision makers. But I think that is really important that you could enlarge on our confrontational style and how we approach politics with this, as I said, confrontational style. And why do you think it is necessary and that we can really make an impact with this confrontation?
Yeah. So, well, you can, as a civil society organization, you can try to make an impact in politics, let's say, in public life, in 2 ways. One way is the access-based model, and we're not applying that model, where you try to liaise, to have a relationship with politicians, try to convince them, to pass this law or to vote against this other law. Good luck if you're touching any controversial issue, because politicians will not listen to you. Of course, if it's not controversial, you can achieve some things through this model of access-based. We apply another model, which is confronting the politicians. We know that politicians are moved essentially by ambition. They might share your values, but their main driving force is their own ambition. And so that means that in order to do something that they are not sure about, you have to put pressure on them. And I'm not only talking about the leftist politicians, that are promoting abortion or LGBT ideology on children or whatever. Of course, we're confronting those politicians, but we're also confronting politicians on the center and on the right. Why? Because at the end of the day, politicians, they only care again about their, winning the next elections. And we want to show them that in order for them to win an election, they have to sometimes take decisions that might produce some controversy, some heat. The leftist media are going to attack them, but at the same time, those issues are key. I'm talking about the life of the unborn, the natural family. I'm talking about freedom of the education, or educating our children that we as parents have. And, if they don't listen to us, we will be also confronting them during the legislative season, but also, in elections. And that's something that center-right politicians don't like, but I think that's the only way we can make them do what they sometimes prefer to avoid doing. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think really that's the foundation of our model, knowing and understanding and implementing, acting on the fact that really the values, the values we defend, life, family, and freedom, are fundamental. They're not negotiable. We will go forward with those values, whereas political parties go forward and give in and cave in to different interests and different decisions. So I think you've summarized it really well there, Ignacio, exactly from that regard, that the confrontational element is us confronting politicians to hold down to our values, because at the end of the day, the values is the ones we're defending, but the ones our followers, everyone here listening, all people, everyone involved in CitizenGO, we all share the same core values. So I think this is fundamental as to our model, and is the way we implement our projects day to day. And I think before we go into the summary of the year and everything we want to talk about still on this show, I want to. Instead of trying to, they say a picture saves 1,000 words. So I want to start with to show you in a video, exactly in a CitizenGO summary of the 2025 victories and battles. We've compiled an amazing video that's only about 2-3 minutes long. I'd like to get that on if that's possible for us. This video brings together the biggest battles of this year, so you can see it firsthand, where we've been concretely, tangible, where we've been on the ground, confronting politicians, and everything that you've helped make possible today, this year, 2025. Please give it a look.
We're living in a world that treats life as expendable, fractures the family with gender ideology, and lets woke lobbies police on what we can say.
And we showed up. We spoke out. We refused to remain indifferent.
This year, millions of different actions became one powerful voice.
Stay with me. Let me show you what you made possible.
12 years ago, citizens rose against indifference. Today, that stand is a movement, 19 million strong, turning heartfelt conviction into real impact.
Not noise, but action. Not crowds, but citizens. 2025 was a year under siege, but because of you, we held the line. Together, we launched more than 500 campaigns across the globe, took the fight to the UN, EU, and national governments, and stood as a formidable force against globalist agendas.
Together, we stood firm against every single challenge.
The World Health Organization Pandemic Treaty? We stood up once more. Another delay, another roadblock to their overreach. We stalled their plans because you showed up. But this battle is not over yet. We drove a global defense of Christians and sent a clear message: mock our faith and you'll face the consequences. At the UN's Commission on the Status of Women, we stopped radical comprehensive sexuality education from entering UN policy for the third year in a row, protecting children from harmful indoctrination. In New York City, even when radicals attacked us, we stood firm, unwavering in the fight for life and the unborn.
What we thought could never happen again has happened. A champion of Christian and conservative values, Charlie Kirk, was murdered in cold blood, simply for daring to think and speak differently. Woke ideology has poisoned our society long enough. It's time to double down and defend what matters most: life, family, and freedom.
I'll be honest, this is far from over. The globalist elites are tireless, forcing their woke agenda, while at the same time stripping away our freedoms, but we're not backing down.
But together, we are unyielding. Our victories prove it, because you weren't just in the fight, you were the reason we won.
You've seen it. Your signature powers our fight. Your donations fuel political impact within 24 hours, delivering your voice to the highest levels of power.
Join us. With your support, we don't wait for change. We make sure it happens.
Wow, when you see it like that, it really does hit you. That was 2025 for us. Intense, challenging, difficult at times, but also incredibly meaningful. And I think above all here, it's clear, it's important to really highlight and say that none of this happens by accident. This is every single moment you've seen on that video and beyond happens because of your support, your signature and your donation, which makes these things possible, which makes it possible to enjoy the victories we have, to have the impact that we're going to talk about later on in the specific battles this year. It's because you stood with us this moment in throughout the whole of 2025. And for that, we are really grateful. And for that, we thank you for always being the backbone, really, of the global CitizenGO movement. Every battle, every victory. So behind every moment we've seen in that video, we've seen each other on the ground a lot, Rocio, and here and there across the globe. Every battle, every victory, there's a story, right?
Yes, totally. Just to highlight what Seba said, what we have seen is only possible because of the people's support and our audience who do not only sign and donate, but also share the petition and spread the news, right? I think that the highlights of this year is that we have seen how many people and real people turn into real pressure. CitizenGO's objective is to be the voice of the people, and we have seen how mobilizing people and making pressure on decision makers is really changing and winning battles, right? We're talking about the victories, and if you ask me, for me, one of the most important ones personally is what happened this year at the OAS, which is the Organization of American States. The OAS holds a General Assembly yearly. So for those of you who don't know what the OAS is like the EU, but in America. We have it here in all Latin America, and also with Canada and the United States. And so during this General Assembly, they try to pass a final resolution in which, of course, they try to impose abortion, gender ideology, and all these threats to our values. So for me, we had a victory because we could see. In fact, it was crazy, but we could see how our pressure works. This year, the assembly took place in Antigua and Barbuda, which at first glance, and when you hear that, it's like, where is Antigua and Barbuda? So it is a teeny island in the Caribbean. So to reach there, it was really crazy. We had to travel like more than 24 hours. Imagine from Argentina. We had to travel to the USA and then go back to the Caribbean. So for me, it was really, really impressive. And it was an honor to be part of that. But the craziest moments was, I was saying that we did a bold visual takeover at the airport. We rented some billboards and we welcomed the delegates, because during this General Assembly, delegates are traveling from their countries to Antigua and Barbuda. So we welcomed them with some billboards saying abortion is not a right, just in the airport where everyone was coming. So that was amazing. All of them attending the assembly were looking at our message. And so the effect and the result of this is that the Secretary General himself, Albert Banding, he personally ordered to have these banners taken down. He threatened us. He put pressure on the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, the teeny island where the assembly was taking place. So this is from the very beginning a victory for us, because we're having political impact, and our message, our values, abortion is not a right, we're being shown and we're being seen by all the diplomats. And this is not all. I can consider talking about.
You could see that was really making them uncomfortable in the moment, right?
Yes, really. Yes, totally. Well, when Ignacio was talking about confrontational politics, this is like confrontational politics in real life, because you could see that it has that for him, for Albert Banding, which is the Secretary General, and for all the diplomats being there, it had a reputational cost, right? We were exposing them and all this, because this also happens. All these countries who claim to be pro-life and claim to defend our values, then they go to these assemblies and they don't act like that. So thank you for showing the banner. So this is the very airport, the very entry of the airport at Antigua and Barbuda, you could see that everyone passing by saw our billboards. And so yes, we had like a lot of impact. And another thing that also happened there is that you can imagine we were just arriving after 24, 25 hours traveling with all the time changes and all that. And we had to start recording because the very same day we put these billboards on, they took it down. They even threatened airport staff. And I think that they were fired, sadly. But they also tried to silence us. We as CitizenGO, we had the chance to deliver a speech in the conversation, in the dialogue between the diplomats and the civil society representatives, and we had the opportunity to deliver. We had a space to deliver a speech, and people from the OAS came to say, "No, you cannot deliver a speech because you are."
Wow.
You're a threat to us. So for me,
Yes.
that was the victory of the year.
Unbelievable. And yeah, we're going to go into a little bit the challenges and the threats and everything we face on the ground sometimes, because it's not easy out there. Like we mentioned at the beginning, these are hostile political and social environments sometimes we find ourselves in, and with real struggles firsthand. Which thankfully through courage of our team members and through the grace of God, we somehow prevail, and we go forward, and we go forward, and we keep pressing until our voice is heard. So I think this OER story is really unbelievable work that was done over there. Rocio, huge success in Antigua and Barbuda. In the meantime, we've had a lot of other global campaigns that we've run over the course of this year. I mean, as of course most of you are probably aware, we've had the pandemic treaty that's been dragging along for around 3 years now. We've postponed it twice. We've pressed them. We've put pressure on them. We've exposed the corruption, exposed the lack of transparency, exposed what they're trying to do. We brought it to light. That was us. That was thanks to your support. They couldn't get away with the project they wanted to. And also I think we here in this year has kind of, for me personally, it's opened up my eyes to a new kind of battle that's starting to evolve, which is getting more and more scary, to put it lightly, in the way this whole era of digitalization, but using the digitalization more as a tool, but more specifically, it would be government overreach, which is governments and international institutions overreaching into our freedoms and into our privacy. And I think this is something we're going to see a little bit, quite a lot going forward. But just running through a few of the campaigns that for me were quite important. And these are exactly these censorship campaigns, the EU chat control campaign, which as well, by running the petitions we do, by the support that you guys give us, by signing the petition, we are de facto creating awareness. We are exposing it. We're bringing to light. Many of these institutions, they want to get away with things behind closed doors. They don't want people like us to bring it out. Nonetheless, we are there. We are there bringing it, being a problem to their project. And I think that's what's really important in much of the work we do. And of course at the UN as well, another international institution that is trying their best to centralize global control, to promote gender ideology and abortion, as the same in the OAS as well. I mean, these are things that we've been seeing recurring within the UN over the last few years. So for me, it's really tackling this global overreach step by step, as much as we can by institution, because it's going to be it's going to be a long battle ahead, and we've got many battles ahead of us for sure. But I think that for me, the meaningful moment is telling the WHO, showing that they have not been capable to close the project that they've been working on for 3 years because of the citizens do not agree, and showing that mark, that start listening to the voice of the citizens, because there's too much going on behind closed doors and too much going on with a serious lack of transparency. So that's from my side. Ignacio, I wanna ask you, how has your year been? How is your perspective from let's say from upstairs looking? How is the situation over in Spain? What would be your, let's say, highlights and most meaningful moments of this year 2025?
Yeah, here, I mean, I would mention for sure maybe the most impactful campaign, and it's not only been 2025. It's been already a couple of years that we've been fighting the UN's World Health Organization. You mentioned that campaign. You were involved. You traveled many times to Geneva and many other places to fight against this treaty that was being pushed at the UN level. World Health Organization, which is a organism which is forms part of the United Nations, and they wanted to for countries to give this power to the UN, to the World Health Organization, to approve all these measures in case there was another pandemic like we got with COVID. And there were many countries interested in pushing that. At the beginning, when we started a couple of years ago, this battle, it seemed that they were easily gonna approve this treaty. And because all these mobilizations, particularly this year, well, the treaty was not approved a year ago when it was supposed to be approved. It took many delays, and finally, all the most dangerous clauses were removed from the treaty, and essentially, national sovereignty was respected, because at the end of the day, the countries have to accept these measures being proposed by the WHO. So I mean that was very big. And in Spain, of course, we've been battling for sure this year. I think we started in the summer of last year, so it's been 1 year and a half that we've been fighting hard. Our socialist prime minister, his name is Pedro Sánchez. This year, for instance, we covered a full building right in front of our Congress, which is the main of the two chambers, the most important chamber, with the face of our prime minister and the word corrupt. So that was corrupto in Spanish, and that was that produced immediate reaction from our prime minister and the Socialist Party. They were able in less than 24 hours to get the police to remove that banner, but that created a huge news throughout Spain. That also told us, what message our prime minister wants to avoid. So we just, printed, I don't know, tens of thousands of small banners that people all over Spain were showing all over the country and throughout the year. And also, we put the banner in a boat. We put it in a one of these balloons, like big. How do you say it in English?
Hot air balloons, yeah.
Air balloon, yeah. So we put it in all types of formats, in newspapers, and it's been a very funny, very fun campaign. But at the same time, we've been suing all the people that surround our prime minister, his wife, his brother, the number 2 of the Socialist Party, the previous number 2 of the Socialist Party, and many of these people are in jail, or they are, they are in these cases, and we're suing them, and that's also a very big thing in Spain. We're hoping that we will get enough pressure on the prime minister so that he convenes new elections in this next year, 2026. That's gonna be my the person I'm gonna ask for baby Jesus and the 3 wise men.
Well, Pedro Sánchez is definitely feeling the pressure over in Spain, despite the Christmas despite the Christmas season. But I think that's unbelievable work that Asteroid have been doing. For those as well on the CitizenGO side, I invite you to check out some of the projects Asteroid are doing in Spain. It's incredible. It really is incredible, the pressure that they've been having and the success they've been having over given the current Spanish political environment. So just like I think we are all giving really good examples of how this confrontational model, how this confrontational project is really working and having effects. I mean, for me, it's quite funny. You mentioned, Ignacio, how in Geneva it's becoming, every time we go in there, we're becoming like a wasp in their barbecue. Every time, consistently there, whilst they meet, we're there, exposing them, showing them that we're there, bringing the signatures to their desk every single time. And for me, it's funny because they know my face now by now. I'm trying to bring in the signatures to the WHO headquarters. They do not want to accept it. They're giving me a different excuse every time on the ground. It's just, it gets to a stage where it's quite funny, because you know that they are sick and tired of your face, but they know we're going to be there next time, because we are not giving up. And that's as well part of our approach, that we are going to be persistent, we're going to be consistent in what we're doing, and we're not going to leave things behind when we see things are unfair and unjust, right?
Yeah, let me just, I know that many people listening probably know about it, but what do you do in a place like Geneva or maybe New York in United Nations? Essentially, I mean, you can elaborate, but essentially, you are meeting with the ambassadors of some countries that share our values. You are trying to explain to them, what should they be voting. But that's what we call inside operations. But at the same time, we also do outside operations. So we also run many times like trucks or buses or ads or we or rallies in front of these buildings, and trying also to send our message through social networks, through the media, and that's part of it. And this is also very new. You in the UN a couple of times. You've also been doing these outside operations kind of actions inside the building, inside the UN, and that's been kind of dangerous. You've been kind of arrested for a couple of hours, I think, in New York. So that's also pretty new. But the end, all these woke governments and the woke progressive leftist civil servants working for these international organizations, they feel the pressure, and many times they don't achieve what they're like I remember also in the UN in the CSW 69, so that's the 69th meeting on women for the UN. They dropped abortion. It was included in the draft of the treaty or agreement, let's say, or declaration was supposed to be approved. And after our lobbying efforts, all of our action, and also other organizations we're partnering with, they had to drop that. That's very big.
That's exactly right, and it's complementing this inside operations with the outside operations that has given us real fruits on the ground, and we've seen results concretely in final declarations, in political declarations, and in final drafts of certain very dangerous initiatives, just like we've mentioned here, the pandemic treaty, the CSW, the conference on women at the UN, and many other instances and situations. I think this is the key here. It was fun, yeah. They were this year early on in February in New York or March. They took us aside. They didn't like our message. It was of course bothering them, again exposing them, and they took us aside. They took us into what it would be called the UN police, and to interrogate us and to ask us what exactly we were doing. So these kind of stories are interesting. Sometimes they are the stories that hit us because we're there, and they're difficult to overcome at times, and maybe they're not always visible to everyone out there. That really it can be a tough job on the ground as well. It's not always easy. I mean, I'll relate back to 1 year ago, was back in 2024 in Paris, when we went there after the abhorrent opening ceremony in the Olympic Games. We had to be there. We couldn't not be there. We had to be there and defend our name as Christians. They can't just spit on us in front of the whole world and not have any consequences. We went there with a clear message: stop attacking Christians, stop insulting Christians. And what happened? Myself and 5 other team members spent the whole night in a Parisian jail. And I think these are kind of moments that now we look back being like, oh, okay, we kind of not laugh at, but we take them a little bit aside, and we don't take them too deep. But really, these are threatening techniques that the globalists, the establishment, the governments are using in order to kind of silence our voices, And I know Rocio as well on the ground over there in your campaigns and everything you've been doing as well hasn't been easy, right? Over in Netflix, I think you were there a couple of weeks ago. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. So before talking about my situation with Netflix campaign, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined. I've seen that we have more than 1,000 viewers, And also ask the people listening to us, if you have some questions, please drop them on the comment section, ask us whatever you want to know. So yes, I completely agree with you, Sebas, on what you said, that when they feel threatened, they feel our pressure, they silence you. With the Netflix campaign that we launched, I think that a few months ago, we were asking them to stop the indoctrination that they are posing on our on children and most of parents who are signing our petitions. And of course, as we always do, we launch the petition, we collect signatures, and then we are present on the ground and we deliver the signatures. And we went to Netflix headquarters in San Francisco, and they refused to accept our signatures. They kicked us off the campus, even though it is a public space. They even escorted us out. And while we were recording videos, because if you are a follower of CitizenGO, you will see on our social sites that that we always post videos and report on what we did. We were recording the videos there, and policemen were like looking at us, and they wouldn't let us alone, even if it was a public space. So yes, basically, when they fear and they feel threatened, they will try to silence you. I will say here a comment. As I mentioned, social site. If you don't follow us on social site, you can follow us, CitizenGO, on all platforms. And yes, another anecdote that I have related to this silencing thing is also what happened at the OAS. And it's related to one of the fights that we have in the future, because when we were in the hall where the General Assembly was taking place, the General Assembly of the OAS was taking place, we saw that our social site was blocked. So they blocked CitizenGO's social site, so people wouldn't access and diplomats wouldn't access to our petition. So you can see how one of our challenges in the future is going to be surveillance and digital control on social sites, on our social media, and all that. So we're already seeing it.
And the censorship we've been facing, they're closing many of our accounts in different countries. This is something we're going to be seeing more and more, and we are preparing for, and we need to be ready for sure. I want to put in a little side note on what our signature is doing. Really, every signature in part of our model is of the promise that we deliver your signature to the decision maker. I mean, we've mentioned many campaigns in the last few minutes, and it's always the same idea that when you are signing our petition, you are bringing your voice to the decision maker. We are doing that for you, and that's the promise that we do. We are bringing that name along with everyone else who signs to the decision maker, showing our pressure, our insistence that this must be changed, that here impact needs to be made, that here change needs to be made. So many. I say this because I often get the question, oh, but what do these petitions do? What do these signatures do? Do they mean anything? Do numbers mean anything? They really do. I mean, right now, I think with the pandemic treaty, we've crossed 3 million signatures, and that hurts. They hate to know that. The WHO, they don't like the fact that the people are opposing their project. I mean, this is incredible weight, which we use and which we need as support and as a platform to go forward and to apply the pressure that we are trying to apply. So I really invite you to keep signing our petitions in every way you can. Keep sharing it as well. Share it with new people. Share it with friends, with family, with neighbors, with people that you know are on board, with people you've chatted to as well in the past. I think that's really important. And of course, none of these things that we've mentioned, none of them are possible without your donation and your financial support. We live completely off small donations from hundreds and thousands of CitizenGO followers and members, and we are truly grateful for every single one of these commitments and of these donations. And if you would like to support us in all the battles ahead and all the struggles ahead and everything we've got warming up into 2026, then please jump onto this. You see in this website, you see here on the banner, fightglobalcontroltoday.org. Fightglobalcontroltoday.org. And that's exactly what we'll be doing in 2026. We'll be fighting global control. I think that's one of the key things we touched upon a little bit earlier on, the idea of government surveillance. Rocio, you mentioned surveillance, censorship, these kind of issues, I think they're really, really worrying going forward. And that brings us a little bit to the following subject, the idea of what upcoming challenges do we have concretely. Maybe we can give a little bit of an insight, shift the gear to what we've done this year, what we've succeeded on, what left memories in our hearts, and moving forward, and what exactly are our challenges and big battles ahead. For me, digitalization, I want to go into a little bit later on, but I want to hear what you guys think going forward are the key challenges that we need to stay aware for.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that for sure fighting against abortion being pushed and promoted, in our countries, that's a very big one, and very dear to our hearts for sure. Also, defending the natural family and making sure that our kids are not being indoctrinated, with gender ideology in schools and, being sexualized. That's a very big one. And for sure, I agree with you. Everything related to the governments, both international institutions and our own, national governments, trying to control what we do online. So for sure, we have censorship in social networks. Although thanks to Elon Musk, that seems to be, a field they've been losing for some months already, or years, I would say. But you mentioned before chat control. So that's pushed by the European Union on the chat apps businesses like WhatsApp. That's the biggest one, so that they are compelled to give access to the governments on precisely of our private chats. That of course they say that is to fight against maybe kids pornography or terrorism or whatever, but at the end of the day, they want to see our private conversations. We want to push back against that. Also, digital ID, which is also a European Union thing, but so it's happening in other countries where governments are trying to push, a digital ID where we would be controlled not only in every transaction we would do online. So that type of control, it's dangerous. We've seen that type of control happening, with the pandemic treaty pushed by the World Health Organization, and we wanna make sure that freedom is respected in every single country, and international organizations, they are kept within boundaries, very limited boundaries, because we know that sovereignty lies on our national governments. We vote our prime ministers, we vote our Congress, our Senate, and we want to keep it that way. And these people should be the only ones, these politicians, representatives, that could, impose any kind of restriction. Of course, we also want to fight against totalitarianism happening in our own countries. But, it's even worse when international organizations want to grab our freedoms, from, everywhere.
Yes, I totally agree. From my side, I think that yes, we are facing this year the digital control, and is, as Ignacio said, I think that the globalist and the big tech is building this infrastructure of control, starting with the digital ID, then the digital euro, the chat control. And in the end, what they want to do is to decide for you, right? To decide if you can buy things, if you can post things on social sites. So yeah, I agree. I think that here, personally, in Latin America, we are not facing this threat. So not in a direct way as you are doing there in Europe. I think that this is what is coming here. But we are also fighting against indoctrination, and especially against the puberty blockers, which is also another fight and another battle we have in the UK. So this is for me going to be the challenge of the year. In fact, CitizenGO is facing a judicial trial. I think if you want to enlarge on that, Sebas, it would be awesome. So yes, we're going to continue fighting for life, family, but especially for freedom.
Absolutely, yeah. We've touched upon many of the key issues. Of course, in the UK, we are currently holding one of the largest court cases against the UK government exactly on this topic of puberty blockers, something that is completely endangering young people, completely confusing young people, doing everything possible to confuse them, to bring them into a stage of absolute beyond confusion, absolute, like a way of no return. So something that's irreversible, something that you cannot get out of, and it's destroying young minds which should be open to all the lovely things that a young person is looking to do, whatever it's sport, music, friends, studies, anything it should be, and they're being completely plagued by this new, well, not new anymore, but this ideology that it continues to be consistent on a national level, but sadly it's also present and very recurring on an international level at UN documents, UN declarations that we are seeing, of course, at EU as well, at OAS as well in Latin America, and this is the problem. So we really have to be engaged, stay engaged to tackle this. Of course, CitizenGO is a global movement, so we operate, of course, on a local level, tackling local campaigns and local issues, as well as on a global one, and that gives us as well the opportunity to understand better and conceptualize the key threats that are coming and from where they're coming from, and put a finger to it and be like, well, who is pushing for this? Which parties are not defending this as they should be, or as they claim they will? And this is as well what puts us in a good position to fight back and to promote our values of, life and above all family and normality. Really, it's what it is. And we spoke about that the freedom issue is, like I said, for me is going to be my key taker for the year to come. I'm very much engaged in many of these issues and many of these campaigns, the digitalization, the central bank digital currencies, what's going on with digital ID as well. Coming back to the UK, digital ID this year has been a huge issue. People on the street, people protesting, the government trying to get it in bypassing any systematic normal legislative procedure. These kind of things, one has to start really asking the question, why are they all coming at us like a tsunami? And what can we do really to mobilize, stay engaged, stay in a strategic operative manner to fight back? And that's why we're here, and that's what we're doing, really. I think that's the key thing. And of course, not to leave behind the battles that we've already been engaged of, the tireless ones, the ones that we've been in for 2-3 years, the pandemic treaty. Of course, we're going to stay on top of it, of course, until the very end. So that's the promise we make. That's where we're going to be. That's the efforts we're going to be making, and where we're going to be investing our time, resources, and energy on that. And it's not going to be easy, of course, but I think those are the key challenges going forward.
Yeah, let me just, to give an example about these international institutions. I've been a few times in, the European Union, in Brussels, in Strasbourg. Also in Strasbourg, we have the Council of Europe, the UN, Geneva, New York. But you probably don't know about this anecdote, or, these things that happened to me. So many years ago, when we were not so well identified as a truly conservative, and I would say anti-establishment movement, I was invited to the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, in France, and to participate in a discussion, in a meeting, to give a lecture on digital political participation of citizens. Because we were at that time, I think we still hadn't founded CitizenGO, so it was only after it in Spain. So I went there, and I gave my presentation. The first thing that surprised me was how much money, what an incredible building they have in Strasbourg, and this is a smaller organization compared to the EU for sure. But also, they would pay all the tickets, the hotels, very good hotels, by the way. So that's something that was, of course, by the way, all of this is funded by national government. So it's our taxes that are paying all of that. The other thing is, I remember talking to this, employee of the Council of Europe. He's a civil servant, so to say, and he's talking to me about, topics about the news, about things that happen, this culture war. And this guy was, a truly woke leftist with no, with no other ideology mixed into the. So it was like a pure guy that wouldn't really understand at all, that somebody would go against the right of women, to get an abortion, or why these crazy groups want to prohibit, schools or governments pushing, sexual education in schools in children, of course, with this gender ideology. And he was really amazed that we would defend these things. And, it was like, usually when I talk to some other leftist politician or citizen or journalist, there's some mix, there is some, but it was like a pure form, and I realized that was the typical, employee working for these institutions, international institutions, and that's why they're pushing all these things. And now they're, thanks to our work and other organizations' work, and also, of course, thanks to Trump and, and many other governments, throughout the world that are pushing. In Argentina, you have Milei. Here in Europe, we have Orban. They are making sure that they are not, and altogether we're trying. I think we're winning many battles, and many of the things they're losing many votes. And when they are voting on some text, they have to pull back, as I mentioned, to delete, some of their pro-abortion and pro-gender ideology clauses in this. So it's. I think we are in the middle of the fight. Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Some years ago, we were losing all the time. So this is good news, and we're gonna continue, for the next year for sure.
Yeah, totally. As you said, it's like you can really see that they are pushing an agenda, and this is why we have to be there. We have to be on the ground, and this is why people's signatures and donations are crucial, because if we are there, we can be your voice, and we can also help those who claim to support us. As Ignacio said, also there is a shift. We have Trump, we have Orban, we have Milei, but we also have to help them and to let them know that we're holding them accountable. I remember personally when we were last year, not this year, last year when we were in Paraguay for the OAS again, they were debating, that there is a room in which all the delegates are debating and really like going through all the words in this final declaration that they approve. And I remember the Argentinian delegation going out. It was 11 p.m. All the people have already left. Very few of us were there in the hall where everything was happening, and the Argentinian delegation came out and she personally asked us. She was supporting, of course, the pro-life movement and was like stopping. At that time, it was Joe Biden's presidency in the USA, so the USA was really pushing for abortion, and the Argentinian delegate came out and she asked us, "What should I do here? What do I do?" So it is essential that we are there, that we know what they are debating, that we know the arguments, and that we could be present to help them and also to hold them accountable. So yeah, totally. So you can see there on the screen the banner on the bottom. Support us here. You can click that webpage, fightglobalcontroltoday.org, to donate. And as we said before, we can only be there on the ground thanks to your help.
Absolutely. And I just want to jump on again on this, just to close up this international issues on the international bodies. International bodies, like Ignacio and Rocio, you both mentioned, this is a recurring problem we've been seeing. They've been pushing a certain ideology for quite some time. And perhaps this scope doesn't deserve, it's not receiving the attention it deserves. Politicians are even aside, they're quite distant from what's going on inside the UN, inside international institutions like this. And then suddenly they're surprised when it's appearing on a legislative bill inside the national government. So these things are directly connected. When things go through the UN, it's a matter of time before it arrives at the national government, and a matter of time before it actually becomes promoted and is attempted to become law at national government. So this is why we have to be really aware, and this is why we invest a lot of our time in these campaigns at overarching bodies, because it's, well, I don't want to call them overarching because they're not. They're actually bureaucratic bodies which are undemocratic and shouldn't have any say in the way national governments live their life. But sadly, it's not the case, and we have to be very much aware and ready to be able to combat this issue. Just closing off, I want to thank everyone for these comments that are coming in. Really lovely, positive comments. We really thank you. Thank everyone as well who's engaged, who's listening to our stories, listening to us today on this show, and really invite you to stay engaged, keep signing our petitions. As Rocio said, the banner is there. It pops up every couple of minutes. Keep giving it the donations you believe we are worthy and you believe we deserve to keep fighting the challenges in 2026. I want to just throw out this question, which is one I received earlier on before the show. It was what it means for us representing CitizenGO. I know I can say for me it means representing our values, our what I strongly believe as an individual, as a person, as a Christian, what I believe is differentiated between right and wrong. But what carries your guys' commitment and courage to these values, just as a close off topic for you guys, Rocio and Ignacio?
Yeah, I would say that it's a privilege, it's an honor, it's a present that actually grace from God that I can dedicate my time, my professional life. I used to be a lawyer, an attorney, and now I'm fully committed to this mission, which is to make an impact, to ensure that life, family, and freedom are protected, are promoted by our governments. To push politicians, to mobilize people, to confront, and it's and also doing this with this great, marvelous team, and millions of people that are together receiving our emails, that are participating in our campaigns. It's the best thing that could happen to me professionally. And so that's so I just can only say one thing, which is thank you.
Yeah, for me it's exactly the same. It's really an honor to be a representative of CitizenGO and to fight for what is right, for life, for family, for freedom, and for showing up when it is uncomfortable. And truly, it is the people support what give us courage when things are difficult, when we face censorship, and when the globalists are threatening us. So apart from saying thank you, I want to keep encouraging people to continue signing, sharing our petitions, and of course donating, because we don't take, as Ignacio said before, we don't take a cent from the governments. We are only supported by common people like me, like Sebas, like Ignacio, who decide to support this cause, and people who refuse to be silenced. And we are really the majority. So thank you.
And really, on and off the ground, you don't know how important it is to know that there's a huge backing behind us, that you guys are there behind us, that you are there supporting us, that you are there engaged in the battles we're there, that we are not alone when we go out there, because like we mentioned before, things are not easy on the ground very often. And to know that we are doing this not only for a cause that we believe in and we believe is right, but also knowing that you guys are behind us is basically everything for us, for me personally, and it's what really is the driver. So it's what keeps us going. So above all, just to start wrapping up, I would really like to close with a huge thank you, not only for everything that you do on a daily basis, for being there, for being our members, but everything you've done from beginning to end, from when CitizenGO started to now and going forward, everything that awaits us, and everything that we are still trying as a team, as a community to achieve together. I think this is most important. We are operating as a team, we operate as a community who share common values, and I think nothing beats that. No evil force, no globalist force, and no governments can beat what we have and what we've created today. So for that we are grateful, for that we thank you. And just some final words, team. Well,
Yeah, I mean, in 3 days, the baby God is gonna be born again. So that's our main source of hope. I really think that it's not essential. In essence, it's not our battle, but we are fighting for someone bigger, and actually the creator of everything. So we are sure we're gonna win. We're just trying to put our work to do what it takes to speed up, that victory, final victory. But yes, it is a spiritual battle, and let's pray so that the baby God protects us in our battles and helps us, and also our families. That's who are also supporting everything we do, and with that's probably the most important thing we can do these days. And I wish Merry Christmas to everyone listening.
Yeah, I would say the same, like wishing Merry Christmas to everyone listening, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to be your voice on the ground, and thank you also, Ignacio, for founding this global movement, and for fighting for what is right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And we take this opportunity to wish all of you and your families a warm and blessed Christmas, a very, very happy New Year. All the very best and many blessings from our Lord in the new year 2026. And stay tuned, stay engaged with us. We are, like we said, we are grateful for having you in our community, and more importantly, we are grateful for having you in our lives and in our projects. Thank you so much for joining on this live today. May God bless you. Merry Christmas and all the best. See you soon.
Merry
Bye-bye.
Christmas.